Welcome back to Hatless Cozy Glow. Today we're looking at, Cozy Glow. I know, surprising. Today we're talking about Cozy Glow. What cozy topic should we talk about today? I know, let's talk about Marks for Effort, Cozy's debut episode. Now, My Little Pony is a weird show. A very weird show at times. Weird can mean many things, be it strange, nonsensical, or a complete character transformation, seemingly for the worst. So, I don't say it lightly when I say that Marks for Effort is weird. I say it's weird because there's a lot of questions I have about this episode that don't really have definitive answers. And in the greater scheme of things, Cozy Glow, we know where her path led her at the end of Season 8. And there are subtle hints of her betrayal throughout Season 8, particularly in the episode What Lies Beneath, which is really the only other Season 8 episode where Cozy plays a significant role. But Marks for Effort, it's not so cut and dry. Is Marks for Effort consistent with Cozy's later behavior? How much of her behavior is staged? Or is this a glimpse at a totally different Cozy we could have got? Was all of her behavior in the episode staged? Or is there a hint of truth somewhere? And to what extent was she already planning her betrayal? Join me as we try to make sense of Cozy's debut episode. This is Marks for Effort is Weird. The episode actually begins when the CMC hear crying from outside their clubhouse.
Great idea, Scootaloo. We haven't tried crying yet.
Yeah, it always works for Rarity. I wasn't crying. I think it's coming from outside.
The source? This creature. The CMC ask her what's wrong, rather than the more reasonable question of, what the hell are you doing outside our clubhouse? But they bite. Cozy explains she's having trouble with the school of friendship.
I'm having real trouble with the school of friendship.
Not that she can't get in the school of friendship like the CMC have been trying to, I guess. I don't know, I fast forwarded this episode. Cozy is part of the school, but she says,
It's too hard.
Really?
Cozy cries. Cozy continues to cry and explains that she doesn't know any pony here, and that she moved in, and everything's so new and different, which I talked about in the last episode, where the hell could she have come from? But in response to this, the CMC introduced themselves to Cozy, and they offer to help. Cozy explains her assignment, which involves doing something nice for 3 ponies. Now, I don't know about you, but if my homework assignment involved me doing favors for 3 complete strangers, I think I'd cry just like her, but that's the introvert me speaking. But fortunately, the CMC do know these ponies, and agree to help Cozy. But how badly does Cozy actually need their help? And can we start to see the true nature of Cozy starting to shine through? The way Cozy asks, "What's in it for you?"
But why would you help me? What's in it for you?
is pretty strange, and doesn't really line up with her weeping and pleading at the beginning. So I kind of wonder if that's a glimpse at the real her, just one of those out-of-place lines where Cozy maybe breaks character and shows off the real her. But the CMC make no mind of it and help her anyway. First, Scootaloo helps Cozy, helps Bonbon. That's a mouthful. For some reason, Bonbon is buying a cactus. Spy work? But the cactus keeps prickling her. Not good spy work. Cozy's solution is to steal Scootaloo's helmet and give it to Bonbon, or give it to the cactus so it doesn't prick her. An actually really clever solution, but kind of rude?
But, next time, maybe don't give away my helmet.
Oopsie.
Is this playful ignorance, intentionally rude, or just completely disregarding of Scootaloo's possessions? We may never know. One of the many mysteries of Cozy Glow. Sweetie Belle helps Cozy organize sprinkle shakers for Mrs. Cake. Cozy herself presents the gift, and Mrs. Cake proceeds to just make rainbow sprinkles like she always has been, leaving Cozy quite shocked and a bit irritated. She spent all that time doing a tedious task basically for nothing. Well, not nothing, she still made progress on her assignment, but Cozy doesn't seem pleased regardless. And it's here where I think we get our second good look at the real Cozy. Any more easygoing pony might have just shrugged this off or had a laugh, and have been grateful to have given the gift anyway, but not Cozy Glow. And you can read it in their faces. While they're both initially surprised, Sweetie Belle's face is a bit more of an awkward smile, while Cozy's face is frozen in a state which says, "Are you fucking kidding me? I spent hours organizing this shit." Really, this is the first scene to suggest Cozy as a somewhat inconsiderate and selfish pony. She isn't happy whatsoever about Mrs. Cake's new sprinkle shakers. She's irritated at the waste of time this apparently was. And in a way, is a bit commanding. Upset that Mrs. Cake didn't use the sprinkle shakers in the way she intended her. Fitting given Cozy's role later. But anyway, The Apple scene features absolutely nothing of note besides Cozy's second golly.
Golly,
Later, Cozy comes crashing in to tell the CMC she got an A on her homework, and she says she couldn't have done it without their help.
and I never could have done it without your help.
But Adi doesn't thank them, or at least I don't recall her saying thank you. Just that she needed them. So, she's still learning. Apple Bloom says she wished she could have done more, to which Cozy says they can.
Actually, you can.
Also, the way Cozy says it, something about the delivery, maybe even the face, seems like another moment of her speaking out of character and speaking truthfully, but then the veil comes right back up as she asks the CMC for more help, ending it off with a cutesy face. To which they say yes. Apple Bloom even says tutoring Cozy has been even more fun than how they imagined being in the school was. Next is a very cute montage that reveals quite a lot about Cozy. I guess Angel ate Cozy's basket of food? That's kinda fucked up. Fuck you, Angel. Cozy takes advantage of the situation though, and sits and mopes about it. The CMC offered their lunches to make her feel better, which is an act of...
Intelligence?
not quite that. Red paint falls on her, which is maybe a hint that she's an axe murderer? If this is actually a hint at her villainy, it sure is a strange one. Not one I expect in a kids show. But I don't know, it's a funny moment, and hey, Scootaloo agrees because they laugh it all off anyway. Cozy and Apple Bloom help out in Fluttershy's cottage. Cozy accidentally knocks over a bag of seeds and tries to hide the evidence while No Pony's looking. Yet another sneaky moment, hinting at her devious nature. Apple Bloom catches her though, and reminds her that honesty is the best policy. Cozy rolls along with it and does the right thing. And hey, the birds got to eat, so it worked out.
Laughter?
Yes!
Is it control?
I mean, isn't it? Finally, Cozy remembers all 6 elements of harmony and is ready for her exam. Look how excited she is to learn about magic. So comes the big day. How does she do? Cozy is sad as soon as we see her. That's not a good sign.
I failed!
But how could Cozy Glow fail her friendship test?
Twilight is very displeased with the CMC for some reason. As it turns out, Cozy failed her exam. But the answers she gave were too ridiculous to be believed.
Who is the Princess of Friendship? Your mom?
So Twilight comes to the rational conclusion that the CMC intentionally fed Cozy the wrong information in order to sabotage her score as a spiteful act of revenge against Twilight for not letting them into school.
I know you're upset that I won't let you come to my school, but to teach Cozy all the wrong things out of spite, that's just cruel.
I don't understand.
Me neither. I never thought you three would pull such a mean prank. I'm afraid I'm gonna have to ask you to stay away from my school and my students.
What? Twilight, have you ever heard of Occam's Razor? Fewest assumptions, Mayor. So the episode kind of skims past some of this. I think we missed an important conversation between Twilight and Cozy, which is devastating for me to imagine. Apparently Cozy told Twilight that the CMC were her tutors, so I guess it's logical to say that these bogus answers came from them. But really assuming they would pull such a cruel prank out of spite? Like, they wouldn't. To be fair, she is in disbelief. But Twilight, use that egghead of yours. Maybe it would have been more fair to ask the CMC if they knew anything about this. Like, if they did this and tried to hide it, they certainly would have given a different response besides utter bewilderment and confusion. Twilight should have been able to suss out that something was up. So no, I don't think Twilight should have come to this conclusion. But whatever, if Twilight weren't dumb, we wouldn't have had an episode conflict, so... But whatever. Cozy oversaw the whole conversation. Eavesdropping. Add that to another list of sins committed by Cozy in this episode. And it seems she regrets what she did. I think Cozy is fully aware that she made a mistake. She knows her test scores got the CMC in trouble. That's why she ran away. But wait, why did Twilight just let her run away? We'll get more into the weeds in a bit, but for now we'll just say Cozy is probably exaggerating her reaction, but I don't think it was her plan to get the CMC into trouble. But what were Cozy's intentions when she decided to fail the test on purpose? We'll get back to that very shortly. In Starlight's office, we see Starlight wondering what use the School of Friendship has for a guidance counselor anyway, which I guess is a good point. If the school's so perfect, why is she there to solve problems? But right on cue, Cozy jump scares Starlight. Another devious act. And after an awkward setup, Cozy explains the situation.
I'm babbling. Go ahead. I'm listening.
I think I got my friends in trouble. They helped me study for my friendship test, and I failed it. On purpose.
Why would you do that? Sorry, listening.
Well, the Cutie Mark Crusaders wanted to go to this school more than anything. So I thought if I showed Headmare Twilight they're bad at friendship, she'd let them come here with me.
That's devious. I see.
I guess I still have a lot to learn about friendship.
Actually, I think you're doing all right. Sure, that was a really, really bad way to try to help your friends, but what matters is you wanted to. The reason the Cutie Mark Crusaders don't go to this school is that they'd make better teachers than students.
So you do have a place for them here?
So Cozy's version of the story is that she failed her test on purpose, and by doing so, she thought Twilight would assume the Cutie Mark Crusaders were bad tutors, thus would need the School of Friendship. Starlight assures Cozy that while the plan was really fucking stupid, the important thing is that Cozy meant well, supposedly, and so they cleared things up. Cozy comes clean, apologizes.
This is all my fault. I messed up my test on purpose so we could all go to school together. I'm sorry.
And Twilight realizes the error of her ways. All is good, Cozy and the CMC make up, and Cozy flies directly into the camera.
Too close, a little too close.
So what the hell did we just watch? Even with the hindsight of later episodes, this episode still feels very odd. Why did Cozy fail her test on purpose and immediately apologize? Is she good or is she not? And to what extent is Cozy truthful or deceptive? Is the entire thing a deceptive act? Or did her evil tendencies not develop yet and she actually felt bad? I've seen some people suggest that Cozy's entire actions in this episode were all theatrics. She's not really struggling with her grades because she sucks at friendship. She's fully knowledgeable and she could easily get by with good grades, but chooses not to. She chose to stage the whole thing to try to get close to the Cutie Mark Crusaders because she needed to get Twilight's attention. This tends to be the consensus I see the most. Cozy is a master manipulator. After all, once a liar, always a liar. But let's take a look at what the episode's writer has to say about the episode. On the one hand, I kind of wish I didn't have this info. After all, it's fun to speculate, but it's an interesting perspective that kind of changes the way you'll look at marks for effort. In a now deleted tweet from Nicole Dubeck, which thankfully this time I actually have archived, she states that Cozy's low grades were real. She really was struggling in Twilight's School of Friendship, and she genuinely thought she could make the CMC look like bad tutors to get them to attend the school with her. She did it because she wanted to spend more time with them so she could get better grades. So while Empress Cozy is knowledgeable about friendship and chooses to misuse it, I believe Cozy in Marks for Effort hasn't gotten to that point, and I truly believe is completely ignorant on how this stuff works. But why apologize at all if she was planning a coup? This tweet was made after School Race, so it's not like she was hiding any spoilers. I think Cozy's plea to Starlight and her apology was legitimate. Her apology was totally truthful, and that her claim of failing the test to make the CMC look like bad tutors to go to the school with her was legitimate. And when it didn't go as expected, she really did feel bad and felt like she had to patch things up. I think it's a bit too Machiavellian, even for Cozy, to suggest that she failed her test on purpose, that somehow she knew Twilight would react the way she did, and that she was going to apologize to the counselor to make things right, to earn every pony's trust. I think her going to Starlight was a reaction, because she knew she messed up and this isn't what she wanted. Supported by this is the fact that we see Cozy in private appearing to show signs of remorse. If Cozy was really psychotic by nature, and truly just wanted to make ponies suffer the whole time, why not just sabotage the CMC and let it happen? Why go to the effort of going to the counselor and apologizing? If her goal was mischief, she could have resorted to her favorite activity of gaslighting. Imagine if she went up to the CMC and was like, "Oh, I tried my best, but she didn't." Giving out a real apology seems to contradict what she does later, doesn't it? Because later in the season we show she doesn't really mean well. Why do any of this if you don't really mean well? Well, let's think about what Cozy's actual goal is. To be ruler of the school, and eventually ruler of Equestria, and maybe drain magic, but we don't know if that was the plan all along, or if that's a plan that came later. Being known as a troublemaker doesn't really benefit her. Even in her plan's best case scenario, it relies on every pony thinking she's a pony everyone can look up to. So it benefits her to be on good graces with every pony, which involves fixing things up with the CMC. She did do the right thing, but maybe not for the right reasons. To her, the CMC are just tools, assets, as she works towards her actual goal of overtaking Twilight as head mayor of the school. She doesn't care for them, she doesn't care about them, she just cares about earning every pony's trust. That's ultimately what she wants and the thing she was struggling to obtain. She struggled to obtain any pony's trust, or even attention, because she genuinely doesn't know anything about friendship at the start of her semester, but she only wants every pony's trust so she can trick them later. So to recap, I believe Cozy Glow attended the School of Friendship because she wanted power. Shocking, I know. She had heard, or maybe even witnessed herself, what Twilight and her friends can do with the magic of friendship, and she wanted that for herself. For selfish reasons, obviously. So she attended the School of Friendship. Where are her parents? I theorized a few possibilities here. Where she was expecting, I guess, some kind of Hogwarts magic school training, but instead she was greeted with boring social skills assignments, none of which interested her, nor was she good at it. Fed up with these lousy assignments, she wondered if anyone could do the work for her. That's when she got the idea to approach the CMC. They seemed to be close friends of Twilight, and were so good at friendship themselves, they didn't even need the school. They would be perfect tutors for her. And indeed, their help got Cozy an A on her homework, but Cozy wondered if there was a way they could always tutor her, so she flunked her exam on purpose to make them look like bad tutors, which didn't go the way she expected, so using what she learned from her time with the CMC, apologized to Starlight and made things right. Later, armed with the knowledge the CMC gave her, she slowly climbed her way up the social ladder. Cozy, who was once a complete stranger, maybe even like a wallflower blush, became the talk of the school, and every pony's friend, even so far as Twilight calling her her right-hoof pony. But all this time, it was all a farce, because in the background, Cozy was scheming, and she was scheming big, because if Twilight's lessons weren't going to make her a powerful magic user, she would carve that path herself. Make no mistake, Cozy Glow is not a good pony, even in marks for effort. Yeah, she could have made things worse, but her coming clean wasn't done out of actual remorse. Probably. It just seemed to benefit her. It just seemed to benefit her the most at that moment in time. But how could Cozy scheme and plan all of this? How could she throw away all the goodwill she'd built up? How could all this friendship from every creature mean so little to her that she was willing to try to make herself Empress? Well, me being me, you're expecting me to excuse her. And well, let me just give my 2 cents real quick. Like I said before, she knows nothing of friendship at the start of her semester. She went to the school because she wanted this. And she was so determined to get it. It blinded her to all the friendship being offered to her right in front of her face. That, and of course she doesn't care. Now that's not an excuse, that's just the explanation I've sort of come up with. She was just simply blind to the friendship surrounding her, / she didn't care, because she was so rotten and so determined that this was all she cared about.
Obviously, very morally questionable, and something I imagine a reformed Cozy Glow looking back on and regretting. Like, yeah, no shit, she could have just accepted every pony's friendship right then and there. Rejecting all that to try to be Empress was obviously very foolish. Rejecting all that to try to be Empress was obviously very foolish, and something I hope Cozy has the opportunity to grow from and look back on. You know, I've got to be honest, for a long time watching this episode, it was hard for me to see a villain in the making. Not that I think she was innocent, but it was just hard for me to see the hallmarks of a villain in the making. Which on the one hand does go to show how good a manipulator Cozy is. In fact, that's kind of the reason I started this video, because I thought this episode was some kind of outlier. And in a lot of ways it is, but this analysis has helped me to see how it actually does fit in the greater lore of Cozy, and it isn't so out of place as I once thought. So the way I've made sense of this episode is, we have to accept that Cozy isn't quite the master manipulator she'll eventually become, and that failing the test on purpose was a grave miscalculation, but helping the CMC as she does later was just a means to an end. Something that Cozy seems to do a lot. Although she doesn't care about the Cutie Mark Crusaders, at the moment she needs to earn the pony's trust in order for her plan to work.
So what do you guys think? Why did she fail her test on purpose? Why did she apologize? Did she really feel bad, or was it all for show?
Was Cozy some master manipulator who purposefully caused mischief to apologize for, to earn Pony's trust? Or is this a unique look at an early point in her arc? And what do you think of the episode overall? Is it an alright episode in a divisive season? What is your favorite Season 8 episode?
I gave you all my thoughts, so I'd like to hear from you now.
And with that, thanks for watching. Do all the usual YouTube things. Comment, I like reading comments. And subscribe and ring the bell, all of that. Thank you all once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.